all to the Bhagavad Gita class today. Today we are discussing from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, text 9 and text 10. I'll read the sloka and the translation. Purport may be difficult because it's a long purport. Sloka number 9. Janma karma chadme divyam evam yo veti tatvatah Yaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Text number 10. Vitaraga payakrodha manmaya mam upasritaha bahuvo jnana tapasa puta matbhavam agataha. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Hare Krishna. So we see here in this particular two slokas, in fact, these are particularly the ninth sloka is very important. Of course, all the slokas are important, but we see in the ninth sloka, the first sloka, it says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again in this material world, but rather goes back to the spiritual world. So the point is, this material world is a place of birth and death and miseries also. So I know many of you might have heard the basics, but I'll take you through again. The spirit soul that is inside our body is a minute part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Lord. And it has all the qualities of the Lord, but in a minute quantity. The Lord is Swarat, that means he's independent. So being a part and parcel of the whole, we also have some small independence which the Lord has given us. So by nature, we are bound to serve the Lord. That is our constitutional position. The example is, for example, if we have, if we look at water, when it rains, it's clear water. But when it falls on the ground, the water becomes muddy. Again, there is a process to clear that water and make it drinkable by people like us. So similarly, the spirit soul, by its original constitution, is pure. But due to our tendency to try to enjoy separately from the Lord has sent us to this material world with a material body, which consists of gross and subtle body. So we take birth and we die also. And when we die, the gross body, which consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego, it takes the soul to another body. And then this way we get entangled into the cycle of birth and death. So the living entity is trapped in this material world in the three modes of material nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now the soul is transcendental in nature, just like the Supreme Soul or the Supreme Lord. But when we come to the material world, we associate with the three modes of material nature and take on qualities depending upon our desire and our karma also. For example, the human form of life is given to understand this constitutional position. One may desire to eat cooked meat, then he gets a tiger's body. One may have a desire, like I've heard many times people in China eat lizards and snakes, etc. Then one can get a hawk's body, which can eat even stool also. Sometimes people might desire to have a lot of, people have a desire to swim. Hobby is different, but becoming attached to that is dangerous. One might get addicted to it. If that is the case, Srila Prabhupada always gives a quote saying that one can get a fish body in the next life. Similarly, many might tend to have a attachment to fly. So many times people become pilots. Sometimes the karma is bad, then one can get even a bird's body. So what happens is that the senses group together depending on one's karma and one's desire. One's desire may be there, but if the karma does not permit, then one can get a lower species of life also. And along with the soul, it is a Paramatma or the super soul who is facilitating this passage of the soul from one body to another. And only in the human form of life, by reading Bhagavad-gītā and literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, etc., in the association of devotees and understanding, one can understand that actually we are pure spirit soul and our consciousness is originally Krishna conscious. So if in this human form we cannot understand what is good and what is bad for us, then we have wasted that human form of life. So the human form of life is given for one to correct his understanding. Now the Lord is transcendental. Not only that, he is absolute also. So we see here in the sloka, the Lord says that one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities. That means the Lord's appearance is transcendental. His activities is also transcendental. The Lord does not take birth. The Lord does not have death also. Just as our soul does not have birth and does not have death. But the material body passes through the cycle of birth and death. But the Lord being transcendental, he is above the three modes. That is called pure goodness or Shuddha Sattva. In the material world, someone may be situated in the mode of goodness, but in the material world, goodness is also, mode of goodness is mixed with a little tinge of passion and ignorance. That is why goodness is never goodness. But the transcendence is pure goodness, in which state there is no mixture of passion and ignorance. And only the Lord is above the three modes of nature and is transcendental in his nature. So his birth, his activities, his pastimes, everything is not only transcendental, but being absolute in nature, his name, form, activities are all on one platform. For example, I may be having a name and if somebody calls out my name, my body and the name are different. But in the case of the Lord Krishna, his form, his name, his pastimes, his activities, all are one platform. So if you call out Krishna, within that name, Krishna, Krishna is present. His pastimes are there. His everything is present within that. Example is just like sun, it appears every day in the morning at a particular time, and then it disappears at a particular time. Similarly, the Lord appears at a particular time, which is also specified in the Shastras, and he disappears. Just as the sun disappears, he also disappears. When he disappears from here, it does not mean that he has got death. No, he performs his pastime somewhere else in another planet in the same universe or in another universe, but his pastimes continue eternally. There is no stoppage for this. So today, if he has taken birth, somewhere else he may be performing his pastimes of his youth elsewhere in some other planet. Somewhere he may be disappearing and then appearing in another planet. So the Lord goes through this cycle of appearance and disappearance, just as the sun appears here. When the sun disappears, it doesn't mean that the sun does not exist. The sun is always existing. So similarly, the Lord has eternal, in fact, he's got a spiritual form, not a material form like us, which is full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Similarly, the soul, which is a part and parcel of this body which we see, and the soul which is inside our body and which is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is also eternal. The soul doesn't have death. The soul is always blissful. But we don't feel that bliss because we have got a material body. The moment you have a material body, you have the threefold miseries. These threefold miseries are Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Devika. Now, Adhyatmika is something disturbances caused to the body due to mind. Our mind keeps on disturbing us all the time, body and mind. Sometimes our body gives some pain. When we get even a minor injury, we are disturbed. So the disturbances caused by body and mind are called Adhyatmika. Then there is another type of disturbance which is called Adi Bhautika. We may have so many friends, but so many enemies in the process of our dealings. So somebody may create some sort of a disturbance in our life that becomes a sort of nuisance for us. And then there is Adi Daivika, which is created by the uh, celestial personalities. And they cause rain, they cause what is called thunderstorms, they cause drought. Some places in the world don't have rain at all. So there is no natural agriculture produce and so forth. So these are all based depending on one's karma, even not only on an individual basis. We'll see that so many places there is drought, and so many places it is full of rain, and so many places they are materially fully prosperous. So all these happen either on a collective basis or a individual basis based on desire and past karma. If you ask me, actually it is said in the Shastras, those who are born in India, they should be very, very fortunate, which even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years before to perform his pastimes. He himself declared that those who are born in the Bharatvarsha or in the India, they are very, very fortunate because if you look at even today, we are much more religious than the people in other nations. That is why we are very fortunate. And we are fortunate to have a book like Bhagavad-gītā given by the Lord to in the form of instructions to Arjuna, and the amount of philosophical understanding that this Bhagavad-gītā has got, no other religious literature has got that much of a depth in philosophy. So that is why we should be very, very fortunate. And this particular Bhagavad-gītā can also be understood only in the human form of life. And it is not material. Bhagavad-gītā is also spiritual and transcendental, just like the Lord. Lord's instruction is also not different from the Lord himself. So the entire, if you look at the spirit soul also got its origin from the Lord only. And Krishna is here in this sloka giving an indication that just by knowing him, by knowing his transcendental nature of his appearance and also his transcendental activities, one can get relief from the cycle of birth in this material world and go back to the spiritual world, which is full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. One who goes there does not come back to this material world and take birth again. Just as the Lord does not have birth, our soul also doesn't have birth. And when we go to the spiritual world, we also don't have to take birth in the material body, just like we take here. Now, the Lord is spiritual in nature. So, but he comes here to perform his pastimes in order to protect his devotees and vanquish the demons. Like when he came in the form of Krishna, he killed demons like Duryodhana and Kamsa and all of them. So the Lord can perform these activities because he's transcendental. Now, one might think, if you look at other examples, when the Lord appeared here, as a small child, he killed a demon in the name of Putna. When he was just 7 years old, the Lord lifted the Govardhan hill with the tip of his small finger and kept it for 7 days and nights without any break. And he protected the Vajavasis from the thunderclouds and heavy rain and so forth. It is also said that the Lord had billions of gopis, not millions, billions of gopis when he was in Vrindavan. Now, Vrindavan is, if you have gone, it's a very small town. And how can one imagine billions of gopis in that Vrindavan town? But that is what the transcendental nature of the Lord is. But in spite of having billions of gopis, the Lord did not have any lusty desire in them, nor did they have any lusty desire, but all they wanted was to serve the Lord in the best way possible. So in this way, there was always competition amongst themselves, how best to serve the Lord. Now, what we have to take from this is that our constitutional position is to serve the Lord, without which we can never be happy. But if you take up to the devotional service process, that happiness which one gets from devotional activities is millions of times much bigger and better than the happiness that what we get in this material world. So that is our constitutional position. Similarly, when the Lord was in Dwarka, he married 16,108 queens. But he expanded into as many forms like the queens, and he was there in each of the palaces performing different activities, just like what we perform. But all those activities are transcendental in nature. So we cannot expand to 16,108 forms, but the Lord could do that because he is transcendental in nature. Another important point is that the Lord does not take reactions of any karma. When we do a karma, we take the resultant reactions, but the Lord does not have, he's above the three modes of nature. But sometimes he appears in this material world to deliver conditioned souls like us. He gives literatures like Bhagavad-gītā. He gives association of pure devotees who also appear along with him. He never comes alone to this material world. He comes along with his associates. And when he performs these activities and pastimes, we get attracted to these, and gradually we become Krishna conscious, which we were originally there. And the Lord is just as a father does not ignore his children. Similarly, he being the Supreme Father, he's always looking at the interest of children like us who have neglected him and ignored him. But he's always thinking of how best he can bring us back. Also, the Lord is not duty bound like we are. The Lord is Atmarama. Atmarama means he's self-satisfied with whatever is there. He's full in everything, so he has no deficiency in everything. But we have a lot of desires when we come into this material world. In fact, our material body is a sum total of all our desires. And if one can understand this transcendental nature just by thinking, yes, the Lord is transcendental, his pastimes are transcendental, he becomes liberated from bondage and goes back to the spiritual world. So this Krishna consciousness is an opportunity for us to enter into the spiritual world by taking up to the Krishna conscious activities. If we do deeds in the mode of goodness, we may be able to become a demigod. And if we do bad deeds in the form of human life, we can become a demon also. So it is up to us in the human form of life to choose what we want. If we want to be a demigod or we want to be a demon. But the Lord is above all these things. In fact, when the Lord appeared in the prison house, he appeared first in the heart of Vasudeva. And then he was transferred to the heart of Devaki. And then he was transferred to the womb of Devaki. And when he appeared in his 400 form with all the ornaments and jewels also. Then the Lord spoke to his parents as to who they were in their previous births and how they performed tapasya to attain the Lord as their child. So when the Lord appears, he appears in many, many forms, not just as Krishna. He can appear as Rama, he has appeared as Narasimha, he has appeared as Vamana. So all these different forms, the Lord appears to attract conditioned souls like us. We being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we can never become the Lord. But unfortunately, when we see the Lord, we think that we have also become Lord. And we can see this tendency even within us in this material world. But by seeing the Lord, even going to the temple and seeing the form of the Lord, one can become free from the material world. So devotional service is the way of connection between us and the Lord. When we say connection, it is a real connection between the soul and the super soul. And when we are in this material body, we use our body to revive that lost connection, and that process is called devotional service. And devotional service is such that it has no karma. It is free from, devotional service is transcendental in nature. So any devotional service that we perform to connect ourselves to the Lord is spiritual. It has no resultant reactions. In fact, it frees us by performing processes like Shravanam, Kirtanam, remembering the Lord, hearing about the Lord and all these things. Our heart becomes purified of all the other anarthas that we have, which we will discuss in the next sloka. So we have to utilize this material body in the human form of life to destroy whatever karma that we have performed in last so many births. And that can be done only by the process of devotional service. We go to the, because the time is limited. Now, there are some impersonalists who think that the Lord does not have name, the Lord does not have form. So, such people, they may believe on the impersonal form of the Lord. That means after they leave the body, they enter into the Lord can be realized in three stages: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. This Brahman is the eternal effulgence that is covering the body of the Lord. Just like light is emanating from a tube light, similarly, this Brahman Jyoti is a light emanating from the body of the Lord. So those who worship this impersonal form of the Lord, they enter into this Brahma Jyoti, but in that Brahma Jyoti, there is no activity. So just like if you are asked to sit in a closed room continuously without any interaction with anybody else and without any activity, we will get fed up and we will think when to get out of here. So similarly, those who believe in the impersonal form of the Lord, they enter this Brahma Jyoti and they feel suffocation due to lack of activity. Then they again come back to the material world. Generally, that's what happens. But a devotee, what happens is that he renders transcendental loving service to the Lord. So he becomes free of all the anartha that we have developed in last so many births, and we become free. So there is a mention here on the 10th sloka, because time is short, I'm proceeding a little bit faster. In the translation, it says, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Now, from this verse, we have a lot of important points. One is that we are all contaminated by the three modes of material nature. So we have to become purified if we want to leave this material world. And the first stage is we must have some knowledge of the Lord. That knowledge is attained when we read Bhagavad-gītā, when we hear Bhagavad-gītā from the devotees of the Lord. Gradual process, it's not an overnight process, but gradually over a period of time, we develop some attraction to Krishna and his pastimes. And when what happens is that these anarthas which are there are three important anarthas that are mentioned in this particular sloka. Of course, there are more. In this sloka, three things are mentioned, that is attachment, fear, and anger. Now generally, if we see, we have developed a lot of attachment to our kith and kin or friends and so forth, or to people who are working with us, whatever it is, we develop attachment to whatever the reason may be. And attachment to anyone or anything, someone may be attached to a TV, someone may be attached to playing games. All these attachments bind us in this material world. So those who have this type of attachment, what happens to them is that they reach a stage where they think they are not able to understand the spiritual form of the Lord. So for them, the Lord has given what is called a Virat form or a universal form to worship him, because they have a lot of material desires. Now one should understand, whatever has been given to them is provided by the Lord, not due to our individual capacity or capability. So when we have material desires and approach the Lord with that, the Lord may fulfill those desires. But then over a period of time, what happens is that we start forgetting the Lord. And to such people, who they ultimately at the end of their life, the Lord gives an opportunity to worship this Virat form or the universal form, because they have material desires. Second thing is that those who are impersonalists, they have start developing a doubt whether the Lord has got a form or not. And they also start developing a doubt as to what will be my future after I leave this body. So such personalities, what happens is that they start fearing themselves. If you see, many people at their old age have a lot of fear. And particularly sickness also brings a lot of fear. They may not be able to express it, but Shastras explain how at the time of old age and disease, they forget everything in life, and the Yamadotas come and create a lot of disturbance to them. So such personalities, the Lord gives them an opportunity to merging into the impersonal Brahman. And they think that there is nothing above this and there is only void. The Buddhists believe that after this life, there is nothing, everything is zero. So this is the condition of those who are fearful at this in their life. The third type are the ones who have anger. Now, if you have seen, we all have anger. We have desires. When the desire is not fulfilled, we develop anger. When it is fulfilled, we develop greed. So anger is one big impediment in the process of devotional service. So those who are angry, it is a sort of impediment in their progress to the spiritual world. At the same time, anger can be used in devotional service. For example, Hanuman used anger by setting Lanka on fire. That was to please Lord Rama. But our anger is based on lusty desires. If our desires are not fulfilled, the next thing that we develop is anger. And this anger is a big impediment in our spiritual life. So in this sloka, there is also given a process. We may not be able to discuss on that sloka. Actually, Prabhupada has quoted sloka from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Adav Shraddha, Tata Siddhu, Sadhu Sangota, Bhajana Kriya, and so forth. These are steps to progress in devotional service. And the first step that is mentioned is about sadhu sangha, ado shraddha. That is, we hear about the Lord. And when we hear about the Lord, then we develop attraction to hearing, and that happens in the association of devotees. So when we hear constantly Bhagavad-gītā and Srimad Bhagavatam, the association of devotees, we reach the next stage called bhajana kriya. We also start performing bhajana, that is hearing about the Lord, chanting the name of the Lord, by which what happens is one reaches a stage of anartha nibriti, which means we get rid of all the anarthas that are there in our life. And then gradually we proceed to the last stage that is called bhava or prema. In that stage, we develop love for the Lord. And it is because we don't have the love for the Lord now, we have the tendency of the soul to develop love is naturally there. But because we don't develop the attachment for the Lord, we develop attachment for others and we develop love for others, which will keep us in this material world in the cycle of birth and death. So with this, I conclude the class for the day. I have tried to give the maximum out of the limited time that we have. So it's a long subject matter, both the slokas. That's why Srila Prabhupada has given long purport in these important slokas. So if you have any questions for the next 1 minute or two, I can take it. Anybody, any questions, any comments?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Excellent one.
Thank you.